One morning, the people of Umuaka woke up to find that their river had turned red like blood. The river that gave them life, that fed them, that carried their canoes, now looked like death itself. The fish that once filled their nets floated belly up. The smell rose sharp and heavy, spreading all the way to the farms. Women who came with clay pots to fetch water dropped them and ran back screaming. Children who had gone to swim ran home crying. Hunters came from the forest to report that even the animals refused to drink from the stream. For the people of Umuaka, this was no small matter. Their river was more than just water. It was their pride, their food, their spirit. To see it turn red was like seeing the heart of the land torn open. But before this day, Umuaka was a blessed land. For generations, their lives had been full. The gods favored them. Their yam barns overflowed every harvest. Their women gave birth without trouble. Their hunters always returned with bush meat. Even when war passed through neighboring villages, Umuaka was spared. People said it was because they respected their gods. Every year, they held a great festival of appeasement. At this festival, the priest, an old man named Nadezi, would lead the people to the shrine. They would bring yam, kola nut, goat, palm wine, and sometimes even cow. The drummers would play, the women would sing, and the men would dance in circles. Then the priest would kneel, pour wine on the ground, and call the gods by their secret names. The gods would accept, and the land stayed in peace. But times changed. The young men of Umuaka began to feel ashamed of the old ways. Some of them had visited bigger towns and seen new things. They came back mocking the traditions. Why should we waste food on gods we cannot see, they asked. Why should we bow before a shrine of stones and clay? They said it was foolishness. They said the gods were nothing. At first, the elders tried to correct them. Do not forget the ways of your fathers, they warned. But the youths laughed. Some even refused to join the festival dances. Others stayed in their huts while the drums played. The elders shook their heads but thought the gods would forgive. Then one year, the insult grew worse. When the time came to offer the yearly sacrifice, the priest Nadezi prepared as usual. He told the people to bring yam and palm wine, to gather at the shrine. But a group of young men stood in the square, mocking him. We will not waste our food, they shouted. If the gods want yam, let them farm it themselves. Their laughter ran across the village. Some villagers joined the priest, but many held back in fear of being mocked. In the end, the sacrifice was weak, and the gods were not honored. That year, the rains came late. The yam stalks grew thin, and the tubers rotted in the soil. The farmers harvested little, and hunger pressed on the people. The elders said, the gods are warning us. But the youth said, it is only nature. The rain failed. It has nothing to do with the gods. The next year, sickness swept the village. A strange fever struck both young and old. Men who were strong like palm trees fell like dry sticks. Women wailed. The priest cried out, the gods are speaking again. But still, the proud ones did not listen. Finally, came the morning when the river turned red. That was the heaviest blow. Without the river, there was no life. Without fish, no food. Without clean water, no drink. The whole land felt the curse. The people gathered at the village square, restless and afraid. The sun was high, but no one cared to farm. Women sat on the ground with their heads in their hands. Children clung to their mothers, thirsty and hungry. Men shouted at one another. What shall we do now? The elders stood, their walking sticks shaking. They said, we told you the gods are angry. Now see what has happened. The priest Nadezi rose slowly. His voice was heavy. The gods have turned their face away. We have mocked them. We have forgotten them. We must humble ourselves, or this land will die. But some still argued. How can pouring wine on the ground make the river clear again, they said. How can a goat save us from hunger? Their words only brought more anger from the elders. Days passed. The river stayed red. People grew weaker. Many traveled to far villages to beg for water. Some never returned, struck down by sickness on the way. Fear filled every hut. Silence filled the nights. Even the crickets seemed to stop singing. At last, hunger and thirst broke the pride of the stubborn ones. The young men who mocked the priest were the first to bow. They came to the square, thin and weak, their voices low. We were wrong, they admitted. Let us beg the gods for mercy. So, the whole community gathered at the shrine. For the first time in many years, the square was full. Old and young, rich and poor, all came. They brought yam, goats, palm wine, and fowls. The priest Nadisi stood before the shrine, dressed in his white cloth. His staff shook in his hand. He poured the wine on the earth. He broke the kola nut. He spoke the secret names of the gods, his voice trembling. Forgive us, he cried. We forgot you. We mocked your ways. But we are your children. Do not kill us. Accept this offering and heal our land. The drummers played softly. The women sang a song of sorrow, not of joy. The men knelt, their foreheads touching the ground. The goats bleated, and the smoke of roasted yam rose to the sky. That night, something happened. Dark clouds gathered, and thunder rolled. Rain fell heavy on the roofs of Umuaka. The people rushed out, lifting their faces to the sky. Children opened their mouths to drink. Women danced barefoot in the rain. Men raised their hands, shouting thanks. By morning, the river was clear again. The red had gone. Fish swam freely, flashing silver in the water. The smell of death had lifted. The forest was alive with the cries of birds. Slowly, the land healed. Crops grew green again. The sickness left the village. Life returned to Umuaka. But the people never forgot what had happened. The young men who once mocked the gods now became the strongest voices, reminding others to honor them. The elders made a law: never again would the yearly sacrifice be abandoned. Every child born after that time grew up hearing the story of the year the river turned red. Parents told it to warn their children, never forget the gods who watch over the land. And so the people of Umuaka lived with respect, knowing that peace with the gods meant peace on the land.